Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. All right, so for those of you who don't know, I've been gone for about a week from YouTube. I was sick for a while. I'm still sick, actually. My wife's upstairs sick as well. So, it's not COVID or anything. It's just a common cold. I had it and she had it. And so we're kind of working through that. And then I've been just jam-packed at work. I've been working like 60-hour weeks. It's been nuts, but awesome, amazing, doing lots of cool stuff. And so I haven't had time to come on here and give you guys the love that you deserve. And I've been getting a lot of beautiful messages on Twitter, some DMs, on YouTube. And so I figured, you know what, Nick, time to suck it up. Doesn't matter if you're sick. Let's get on here. Let's talk to the people. So people, I'm here. Even though I'm still a little sick, you can see I got my blanket around me. You can see I got a haircut though. So that's kind of nice. Let's talk about Tesla. So I want today to kind of level set. If you've been seeing any of my tweets lately, and if you haven't, check it out. You can find my Twitter probably down below in the description of this video. You can find my my Twitter account there. But I've been tweeting kind of some maybe sobering things when it comes to Tesla. And, I'm by no means bearish or anything when it comes to Tesla long term. But I think we need kind of a reality check, a reality sense of Tesla, the stock, in the short to intermediate term. And while I constantly talk about how this channel is all about Tesla and investing over the long term, I think it's silly to not think about the short term or intermediate term at all, because if you don't think about that or have an understanding of what's going on, well, then one, you can't better figure out, how to dollar cost average or how to add to your position. You also don't understand what's actually going on with the company or what's going on with the stock. And as much as some people say, like, I don't care about the stock, I just care about what's going on with the company and the fundamentals, like, the stock does matter, right? I mean, it's where your money actually lies. Your money doesn't actually lie within the company, it's within the stock. So, I think it's kind of foolish just to ignore that, right? So there's a lot of rhetoric about that. And I've been guilty of saying the same thing. So, I'm just as much of a hypocrite for saying this. But anyways, all that just to talk about some reality when it comes to Tesla, TSLA. So, and you know what? Even Tesla, the company, let's talk about some reality there as well. So the first reality that I feel like we all just need to come to grips with is the fact that look what happened today. We've talked about the Twitter overhang, and I might get some egg on my face today, and tomorrow we're up 20% because of the whole Elon poll about him stepping down. But we've talked about this Twitter overhang, and we've kind of kicked the can down the road about the Twitter overhang on and thinking that's going to be what sends Tesla up. Look, again, none of this financial advice, but I put a tweet up saying don't expect these rumors or this potential announcement about a gig of Mexico to send the stock up. Same applies for this whole Twitter news with Elon. Don't expect that to send the stock up, because in reality, if we really look back, AI Day didn't do it, Investor Day didn't do it, Giga Berlin going live, Austin going live, S&P 500 upgrade, a stock split. None of this has done anything to make Tesla go up. The fundamentals haven't done it. Good earnings haven't done it. The China reopening didn't do it, right? Nothing has helped Tesla stock go up. It's just been on a downturn relentlessly. Even if you want to attribute it to Elon saying things or Twitter, right? Whatever you want to attribute it to, the point is it's going down. It's not just Tesla. It's everything. It's all stocks. It's the entire stock market. All right. The Dow was down a lot today. S&P was down a lot. NASDAQ was down 1.5% today. Everything is going down. So what's the reality check that I really think people need to kind of get a grip on? And essentially it's what I'm starting to do now myself. So all this time I've been buying the dip, right? And I'm at a point now where I'm not buying dips anymore. At this point, I stopped. I've just been kind of saving cash. I've been stockpiling cash. And the reason is I'm going to keep stockpiling cash. I'm not going to continue buying shares of Tesla until I feel that we are in a moment where I think the Fed is actually going to start to look at reality. At this point, it has nothing to do with Tesla. It has nothing to do with Tesla shares. It has nothing to do with Elon Musk, in my opinion. I think it's all about the Fed. It's all about the macros, right? And until the Fed, it's so funny. Everybody sits there and yells and berates Elon on Twitter for doing this, doing that. He's not paying attention, all this stuff. It blows my mind. It boggles my mind that people have all this energy towards him instead of towards the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell. Now, I don't want to pick on anybody, but Jerome Powell is really what's scaring the market. And so the reason he's scaring the market is because he is doing what he's supposed to do, right? The Fed is supposed to increase rates. They should have been doing this. They should have been doing this a long time ago, but they didn't, and they were late, and then they overcorrect. Or not even overcorrect. So they actually made 3 mistakes. The first mistake was they were, everything's transitory, right? Big mistake. And then once they decided to get rid of that terminology, they went ahead and they said, okay, well, it's not transitory anymore. It's here. But then they waited so long to actually raise rates. Not only that, while they started raising rates, they were pumping in money still into the economy, which is crazy. They didn't turn the spigot off. It's like you're admitting there's inflation, yet you're not turning the spigot off to the printing press. Like, think about how silly that is. So that was their second mistake. And now they're going to go into their third mistake. But the thing is, with their third mistake, they can't afford to fumble at the goal line. They can't. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is they have to probably make a mistake, right? Things have gotten to a point where they can't screw this up in a weird way, meaning they need to make a mistake or they're going to be really screwed. So what am I actually saying here? I got a little head cold, brain fog here. So what I'm saying is, right now, if they screw this up and they stop raising rates or they let off the accelerator right now on rates, and inflation turns out to be persistent and sticky and it turns out it's going to go higher because they slowed down or they paused, the Fed's going to be in a world of hurt. That's going to be way, way harder to deal with than if they were to go ahead, overcorrect, put us into a recession. At the very least, the Fed would know it's over. It's finally over. And their logic is, all right, if we go into a recession, who cares? We can get us out of it like that, just like we did with COVID. How do we do that? We cut rates. We can pump liquidity back into the markets. We can turn it on a dime. And that's what Jerome Powell's relying on. And to me, that's the big mistake right now. And that is why I am saving cash until they decide to see the world for what it really is. And then I'll go ahead and start buying Tesla again. Because until then, I really think it's going to keep going down. I'm at a point where I don't think it matters what the earnings are. I don't think it matters what deliveries are. I don't think the macro in general really matters. It matters what the Fed does. And until the Fed stops doing what they're doing, nobody's going to want to do anything. Everyone's going to stay on the sidelines. And so the game I'm going to play now is I'm going to smarten up a little bit. Instead of constantly buying on dips, I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit, right? I got lots of shares. I got, plenty of investments right now in Tesla that, it's not like I have to buy. So I'd rather save and buy at a better time when I feel more confident in the Fed actually seeing the market for what it is. So why am I so hard on the Fed? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The main reason, though, is because Jerome Powell, and it's hard to say because I feel like some of this is showmanship and some of this is to prevent the markets from really working against what he's trying to do. But he keeps saying things like, okay, inflation has showed some signs of alleviating, but still persistent. It's still very high. We're still at these whatever year highs, and it's not reality. All right, let me give you an example. This last month-over-month CPI was 0.1%. Now, if you look at it year over year, sure, we're at 7.1%. But that is a artificially high number to look at. It's not a really relevant number because you're factoring in inflation when there was a time where the interest rates weren't where they are right now, when the supply chains weren't where they are right now. In fact, you're looking at a backwards in a rear view mirror instead of seeing what the reality is today. So we care about what inflation is today, right? Instead, we're aggregating 11 months of prior inflation plus 1 month of current. I feel like that's a horrible metric to use. Is it important to be aware of it? Sure, but to have that be the basis of your entire policy, that seems just wrong to me. So if we look at that 0.1 and you imagine if that's the same steady state inflation for the rest of the year for 12 months, that means we're at a 1.2% inflation. Say you double it and you aggregate that over the next 12 months. All right, we're at 2.4% inflation. That's the reality. You notice the other thing that they're really missing? All right, so a little hop here. They aren't really taking into account housing the way they should. Housing is such a big metric within the CPI numbers. And so because it's such a big number, the Fed is just completely blind to the actual inflation, which is actually deflationary right now. We actually have negative inflation if you take out housing. Now, why would you take out housing? That almost seems silly, right? Okay, well, now you're nitpicking or you're cherry picking the data to make your argument sound. Well, the reason you would do something like that is because housing has a large lagging indicator within the CPI. So, for instance, right now, everything you see, go on Zillow. Look how many houses are up for sale around your area. Then start double clicking into them. Look how many have their prices, how many of them have price cuts. All right. I look at this just about every single day. All right. Every single day. And I'm telling you, every day I'm seeing new price cuts. All this information doesn't get fed into the CPI number until about 3 to 4 or 5 months later down the road. Same with rents, right? Rents. The lowering of rents and people going and getting renewed rents and seeing those low, like none of that really filters into the numbers until about 3 to 4 months down the road. So right now, that 0.1%, which if you aggregate that out by 12 months, which would be 1.2%, that's including these elevated housing numbers that aren't correct for what the market is today. So in any way you look at this, the Fed's wrong, okay? Now, they're wrong in the messaging they're giving us. They are right in their goal to put us into a recession to ensure that they don't screw up and stop too early and then inflation gets out of hand. So we're in a kind of lose-lose situation right now. Now, my gut is that sometime in 2023, midway through 2023, we're going to really start to see these inflation numbers show what they really are. And at that point, the Fed might just stop or even start to cut rates. And the market's predicting that as well if you look at the bond yields. Anyways, going back to Tesla. So this is why I don't really have an appetite at the moment to buy shares of Tesla. I'm a huge Tesla bull fan. I'm a huge Tesla bull. Sorry. Again, I'm sick. I'm not on my game. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't think there's any urgency to buy shares right now. I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. And you could say, Nick, you're trying to time the market. Yeah, I kind of am. But I'm more so trying to time the Fed. All right. I'm trying to save and stay in cash because you never know when you have a, oh crap moment. So it's good to have, some reserves on hand just for that. But in general, I just, until the Fed changes, I don't see what you can do. All right. And so that's where the famous quote comes in, don't fight the Fed. So I'm finally going to stop being stupid and I'm going to stop fighting the Fed. And so like the big reason I'm doing this is because like if you start looking at like all the buying I was doing to dollar cost average, man, I could have picked up so many more shares if I would have just stayed in cash and just waited. Now, again, watch, tomorrow we go to 200 when, hey, that would be a wonderful thing. But I don't think that's going to happen. I could see us having a lot more pain. Now, let's talk about this pain. Where is it going to come from? Well, here's the truth. Although I do think Jerome Powell's making a mistake, and I do think Jerome Powell is not looking at the data properly, there are real macro weaknesses around the world. And the truth is, it looks like China is definitely in a recession, if not a depression. It's so bad that they've essentially bailed on their zero COVID philosophy. And now it seems like they're just kind of saying, you know what? We're done with this. Let's let COVID rip through society. These people want to protest. whatever, protest, go for it. We'll just go ahead. No more bans, no more testing, no more anything, right? We'll just let it rip through the society. We'll get through this, get to the other side, which, there's something to be said for that. I know people talk about their vaccines aren't as good as ours or anything. I don't know anything about that. I'm very, very ignorant when it comes to all that. What I do know, though, is that they are having very high cases of COVID. It's honestly kind of crazy to me that we're still talking about it these days, that it's not something that's just in the past, but I guess it's reality, and we're going to see the aftershocks of this for quite some time. But the reason I bring this up is because we see the numbers that they release about their economy, and we know it's never, I don't want to say they fudge it or play or cook the books, but, it doesn't pass the sniff test, right? It doesn't smell right. It doesn't look right. It's probably not right. So for them to say that we're just going to open up and we're going to give up on this zero COVID policy, it shows that their economy must really be hurting even worse than what we think it is. And so to me, that's not just a sign for the macro, but that's also a sign for Tesla, because we're seeing a buildup in inventory for Tesla vehicles. Now, I don't think this is a bad thing, right? I actually think this is a bullish thing. I think it's a good thing that Tesla can produce more than what they can sell right now, because this is how they'll inevitably get rid of the wave, all right? If they can start having vehicles at places they want, and not just that, but it's a better user experience, because now you have somewhat of an inventory. If I want to go buy a Tesla, I can buy it that day, right? It helps the whole butts in seats ideology. Excuse me, I'm not going to edit that out. Because with the butts in seats, if in order for that to work, it's really hard for it to work where it's like, okay, you were in this vehicle and now you want it, okay, well, 3 to 7 months and you'll get your car. Oh, yeah, guess how excited am I going to be about waiting for 6 months to get my vehicle? Whereas if I just got done with a ride and I'm sitting there like, I want this now, and you tell me, yeah, sure, what color you want it? We got it right here. Like, I think that's a much better customer experience. And I think you'll see more people, as the economy recovers, more people will go out, want to buy, and they'll start to absorb that inventory. But the truth is, there is inventory right now. Right? I've been looking around my region here where I live in Florida, and actually throughout all of Florida, there is a decent amount of inventory out there. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a indication that we're going to have weaker than expected deliveries when it comes to Tesla. I don't think we'll have an issue with production. I think they'll hit their numbers on production. But when it comes to deliveries, this might show a softness on what Wall Street whisper numbers would be. So whisper numbers, essentially, if let's say Wall Street is expecting like 430,000 deliveries, maybe the whisper's 445, 460, something like that. If we can't deliver just 430 and have a good reaction to stock, right? If we deliver 430,000 vehicles, I think the stock will be mute to down, which is crazy to think about, right? Like, it's insane. It's record numbers. It'll be record everything, but it won't be good enough for Tesla. And the main reason it won't be good enough is because Zach's guidance was just below 50% for deliveries and 50% for production. So you get into this weird scenario where we're victims of our own success. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like we are in a weird position right now where, once again, good news isn't good enough news. And something else to keep in mind is that with the next 2 weeks coming up, so call it the rest of the year, this is going to be a very light volume period. Now, you could almost say that I'm wrong about that. I can guarantee you volume is going to get very, very light over the rest of the year. Today, we had very high volume when it comes to Tesla, but I think you'll see that throughout the rest of the year, volume will get very, very light. And when volume's that light, it's a lot easier to move the stock. And odds are, if the stock's to move any way right now, it's going to be down. So be careful with that. Be careful with that. Again, none of this really matters for the long-term perspective. This to me, like everything I'm saying right now, is more so about my accumulation process and my plan. So right now, my big plan is to wait till I can buy lower. And even if we get to lower prices, I don't know if I'll buy just yet. I'm going to be Fed dependent. That's essentially my thing right now, is I want to wait to see the Fed wake up and realize, or I want to be able to start to hear some words from them, some indication that they are starting to believe that they are winning against inflation, which they are. They are. The only thing is they don't want to take their victory lap in case they do it too soon and then they screw everything up they've worked for. So again, that's what I'm saying. They almost have to make this third mistake, which would be sending us into a recession because they raise rates too high. But that's a mistake they are willing to take, because the even bigger mistake would be to stop and inflation goes back up, right? And next thing you know, Jerome Powell would be fired if that happened. So anyways, I just want to give kind of a reality check from my point of view. Look, long term, this is just such a no-brainer to me, right? Tesla's still my only investment outside of real estate. I'm not going anywhere with this. This channel's not going anywhere. We're here for the long term. But I just thought it'd be wise to be transparent with all of you about my thinking. Now, all of this can change day to day, minute by minute, and these things are always, I don't script anything. I just hop on here and I talk to you guys free flow, and I just tell you what I think and where I'm at for the day. But yeah, so you know what? I should have done a live stream because I would love to start talking to you guys right now. But yeah, anyways, I'm sick. I should probably go and drink some water, take some medicine, and check on my wife. Look, I'll probably put out another video on Wednesday. I might put out a video every day this week. I don't know. It depends. I'm still working on some projects at work that are occupying a lot of my time. Oh yeah, I want to talk about one other thing. ChatGPT. Okay, if you were not using ChatGPT at work, you're making a mistake. ChatGPT is like an assistant on the side at this point for me, right? It's almost like Google search engine on steroids. It's just so much better. And the cool thing about it, it's like you could ask it a question and then you could like engage. Be like, okay, I understand that, but can you get even more specific? Can you give me more detail about it? Can you whatever? Like, I mean, you can use it to, if you have a certain idea, you can be like, okay, I have this idea for X, Y, Z. How could I make this better? And like, it'll keep going, and it works so well. It's so much fun to use. If you guys aren't using ChatGPT, I highly recommend you use it. How we'll use it, I have no idea. But that's the beauty of it. That's the creativity of it. You'll just slowly start trying to use it, incorporate it in your work, whether it's like, oh, what does this mean? What are microservices? What's containerization? What's serverless mean? Or I don't know. Like I'm thinking about things in my world. But if you start like using it for that, I think you'll find it like really interesting. I know some people that are using it to write emails now. It's just absolutely fascinating what's happening, and it's something you guys should all geek out on, because it's essentially FSD beta for a chatbot, right? And where FSD beta uses the fleet to gather data, the chatbot is essentially using the existing internet. And so it's just this interesting, kind of use case, and it's wildly efficient and amazing. The one thing that I keep telling people is, like with ChatGPT, there's essentially a time limit before it has to give you a response, right? So maybe it's like 3 seconds, right? And you'll get an output from your input. But imagine how much better it could be if that time frame was extended. Anyways, it's fascinating stuff. Highly recommend you check it out. All right, we're going to leave it there because I could keep talking about this for quite some time. Check me out. I'll probably do something tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Maybe I'll do a live stream. Live streams I find more fun. But all right, I'm finally going to get off. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.